the Honourable Member for Davenport.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's always such a pleasure for me to rise in this House to speak on behalf of my constituents of my amazing downtown West Toronto riding of Davenport. And today I'm going to be speaking in favour of Bill C-11, an act to amend the National Defence Act and other acts. And this legislation, if passed, will amend the National Defence Act in response to long-standing concerns raised by victims and survivors of the Canadian Armed Forces community. It includes a suite of targeted amendments to modernize the military justice system and builds on supports to victims and survivors. Mr. Speaker, in my role as the chair of the Canada-NATO Parliamentary Association, I know firsthand the impact that our brave men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces have on operations at home and abroad. We know that to fulfill our role as a NATO ally, we must have forces that are ready, able, and agile. This all starts by ensuring that we provide our forces with a safe and professional work environment. This is the most effective way for our forces to train and build up their skills for the difficult jobs we ask of them. And this is why, Mr. Speaker, I'm so pleased to rise today to speak about the important work that's being done to modernize our military justice system and to restore trust in the Canadian Armed Forces, also known as CAF. In the spirit of this debate, I will focus mainly on the initiatives surrounding Canadian Armed Forces personnel, including our military's efforts to recruit and retain more people, and to ensure theirs is a work environment free from discrimination and from harassment. Let me be clear from the start, our people remain at the heart of everything our military does. It's of course vitally important that they have the right equipment to stay agile and effective on the battlefields of the 21st century. But it's the people across the institution who make everything possible. Having the right number of people in the right jobs, each of them contributing to the collective efforts of moving our organization forward, has only become more important in recent years. We've seen the return of strategic competition on a global scale. Authoritarian leaders from around the world vying for power and influence, and they are not afraid to violate international laws and norms in the process. Canadians see this, Mr. Speaker, and they know this. They see Canada on the world stage with folks wearing the maple leaf proudly on their uniforms around the world. And here in Canada, Canadians have also seen the Canadian Armed Forces members called on more and more to respond in their own communities when natural disasters strike. And as our military continues with its digital transformation efforts, and as we begin to account for the influence of emerging technologies like AI and quantum computing, we remain committed to keeping the human factor, human decision-making, human operational planning at the very heart of this work. It is a time of rapid global change that puts our country and our continent at risk, change that threatens our closest allies and partners. Our efforts to build our forces back up to their full authorized capacity and set the groundwork for future growth are essential. When the Department of National Defence and CAF were developing Canada's defence policy, our North Strong and Free, they recognize this fact. And Mr. Speaker, that's why this policy puts forward an ambitious plan to rebuild the Canadian Armed Forces authorized force of strength of 71,500 regular force and 30,000 primary reserve force members, as well as lay the groundwork for future growth. It also commits to expanding the size of the civilian workforce across many different critical functions, from training to building infrastructure, staffing to IT. And Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, our North Strong and Free commits the Canadian Armed Forces to take a more agile and adaptive approach to recruiting. That includes using digital technology to improve the applicant experience, speed up the required screenings, and connect with the new pools of applicants. It also includes innovative measures like a new probationary period for applicants, streamlining the security clearance process, reevaluating medical eligibility requirements, and abolishing outdated processes and criteria wherever possible. The CAF is also modernizing training by optimizing new members' transition into service, streamlining training activities, and providing new recruits with meaningful work more quickly and more effectively. Through these efforts, they will also redouble their commitment to building a military that looks like Canada and draws on the skill and talent in all parts of our society. We know that having a military that accounts for and engages with the diverse perspectives and experiences of people across our country make us stronger, more resilient, and enables better decision-making. The Canadian Armed Forces recruiting efforts through the defense policy are broad and far-reaching, and this year we've hit the highest recruitment numbers in 10 years. That is great news, Mr. Speaker. In addition to significantly boosting recruitment numbers across the country, the CAF is also looking at ways to make the military a viable, lifelong career for those already wearing the uniform. Key to this is modernizing how the military manages its personnel, including providing improved career support and delivery of services by better incorporating digital technologies into these activities. The Canadian Armed Forces is re-examining their policies around compensation and benefits, HR leave, and other supports for work-life balance, some of which date back for decades. As part of these efforts, Mr. Speaker, the Canadian Armed Forces is accelerating the development of an electronic health record platform that improves the continuity of care for mental and physical health services for CAF members as they are posted across this country. Our federal government has also created a Canadian Armed Forces housing strategy, improving access to housing wherever CAF members and their families are posted, including building new housing and rehabilitating existing developments. We are making generational investments in affordable childcare for military families on bases right across our country because we know that having safe, reliable childcare is important for everyone. This includes CAF members, many of whom face difficulties in finding this kind of care when they deploy, so services like these are obviously essential for them and for their loved ones. Mr. Speaker, our efforts for recruitment and retention also closely align with our military's larger culture change efforts. Through our North Strong and Free, the CAF has reaffirmed its commitment to continuing the important work of building a safer, more respectful and inclusive work environment for all those who serve. The legislative changes to the National Defence Act through Bill C-11 to ensure CAF members have the confidence in the military justice system, as well as continue to implement recommendations drawn from 4 other external reports. Those include the Independent External Comprehensive Review and Third Independent Review of the National Defence Act, overseen by former Supreme Court Justices Louise Arbour and Morris J. Fisher, respectively. Mr. Speaker, I will let my colleagues discuss these reports and how they're influencing our military efforts in more detail. Mr. Speaker, through our North Strong and Free, National Defence is also committed to spending billions of dollars acquiring new equipment and infrastructure to support CAF operations across the globe. Many of these investments are focused around bolstering the CAF presence in the Arctic year-round. Securing the Arctic is an important component in the defense of NATO's western and northern flanks and directly supports broader NATO deterrence efforts. Finally, our North Strong and Free reaffirms the CAF's critical role around the world, supporting our allies and partners in need. And Mr. Speaker, this includes Ukraine, which continues to fight for its very existence in the face of Russia's illegal and unjustified invasion. In the Indo-Pacific, Mr. Speaker, where Canada is bolstering its military presence in support of our regional partners, we are also supporting our allies and partners in need. And of course, in Latvia, where CAF continues to lead the forward land forces in defense of NATO's eastern flank. As Canada makes a generational and historic series of investments in our national defense, we must never lose sight of the people who serve Canada and Canadians. The brave men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces are at the heart of Canada's national defense. CAF members are deploying in dangerous situations around the world to bring hope. CAF members are repairing and upgrading equipment so their counterparts can quickly and safely deploy. Through Bill C-11, we are also supporting our people by modernizing the military justice system, making sure it stays aligned with Canadian law and that is responsive to the needs of our people in uniform. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments?